Hey everybody, Tony D with your Hollywoke hot take. All the other stuff that's not about Gina Carano. That's the first video. Watch that. Larry Flint, Hustler magazine founder, dead at 78. It's always sad when a pornographer dies, because what happens to all the skanky girls that hang out at his house? Do they rob the house and then go their merry way? Do they get proportion to other pornographers and some sort of deal? I don't know. I don't know. How does that work? But Larry Flint was an interesting cat. Read his Wikipedia entry if it's not been changed to some woke crap. And you can find out how he went after Ted Kennedy. He actually funded some investigative journalism in his magazine. He was kind of a funny guy. But, you know, he was a bit kind of sleazy, but, you know, anybody who makes porn, they're not exactly not sleazy, if you know what I mean. But that's just my opinion. But Larry Flint, kind of an interesting cat. Instagram bans Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over beer virus vaccine post. The canceling has begun. There's been a lot of canceling today. Besides Gina Carano, RFK was canceled. It's just getting worse and worse. They're canceling everybody as quickly as possible now. And RFK, you would think, would be immune, but he's not, because he's always been sort of the Kennedy that he's more of a, I wouldn't say a hippie, but he's kind of an activist guy. He's an environmental guy too. They canceled him. See, he went against the beer virus narrative, and this is what he gets. I don't know if what he was saying is good, bad, or ugly, but, you know, I don't think he should be canceled for it. But it's interesting that they'll cancel a Kennedy now. Anybody who disagrees with the narrative, boom. Oh, and that reminds me, James Lindsay has a great channel called New Discourses, and you should totally check it out. He's got, I'll have to remember to put a link. He's got this 4-part video about a guy named Marcuse, who was a French intellectual, one of the postmodernists, who basically wrote this paper that a lot of people on the left are using as a basis for their ideology. And it really gives you a lot of insight into why everybody's getting canceled. So check that out. I don't have time to go through it. It's very complicated. But James Lindsay goes through it in 4 parts. It's a really good intellectual thing you should check out. This one just made me laugh. NFL hemorrhaging young viewers under 50. Super Bowl viewership declines for 9th straight year. Gee, I wonder why. Could it have anything to do with the fact that you're going woke? That you're, you know, you didn't deal with the Colin Kaepernick thing very well, and now you're just, I mean, who wants to see woke football? No one. No one wants to see that. Football should have been the most American thing ever, and instead you bent the knee. And now you're paying for it. So get those American flags up. Get everybody to shout, God bless America, if you ever want to get your viewers back, you idiots. This isn't really Hollywood, but it's the guy who runs the state that Hollywood's in. The recall for Gavin Newsom is on, baby. They have enough signatures. Let's recall Gavin Newsom. Maybe if they recall his sorry butt, the movie industry could actually start to recover. And not that recovering it would do you much good these days, but maybe some of these actors will go back to acting in movies and shutting the F up. Another group that got canceled, Project Veritas, permanently suspended from Twitter after tweeting about Facebook censorship. Yeah, it's true. So they canceled Gina Carano. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention this in the previous video. They canceled Gina Carano, but they have not canceled Pedro Pasquale. Is that his name? Pasquale? Who also tweeted something about World War II and made some comparisons regarding the events therein. And they haven't canceled him. So he's on the right side of politics, as in the side that apparently Twitter agrees with, and poor Gina's on the wrong side in their opinion, and that's It shouldn't be allowed. Shouldn't be allowed. Trump, if you get back into office, number one, don't go on Twitter. Number two, punish Twitter. Take away their 230 protections. Tell them they're a publisher. Tell them they can be sued. And then cut them loose forever. They banned you permanently. Why not? But this is an outrage because Project Veritas does journalism. And, now that they're going after big tech's going after them. So I urge you to support Project Veritas. A lot of their videos are great. They do a lot of good work, and they've caught a lot of people. They caught the ballot harvesting going on in Texas. And it wasn't just Democrats. They caught a Republican doing it too, but they were also they were working both sides of the fence basically. And they caught a lot of other guys doing a lot of shady things, including on Facebook and Google and other people. You should definitely check it out. Also, New York Times. So check out Project Veritas and support Project Veritas. I look forward to seeing them on Gab. Twitter says blacklisting of Donald Trump is permanent, even if he runs for office again. Get them, Trump. Get them. Put these guys on the top of your freaking list if you get back into office. If you don't, I don't know if I can support you anymore. I mean, geez. We told you to get on Gab before things went to hell, and you waited. You waited too long. Too long, Trump. And finally, recalling the bad guy from World War II's 1924 trial speech, MSNBC warns of risk if Trump speaks at trial. Now here's the amazing thing about MSNBC. Trump announced that he wouldn't even appear at the trial, and people went 8S over it. Now they're warning, there's a big risk if he talks. Yeah, no kidding. Because if Trump does go up there, he could present the evidence about a certain election that I'm not allowed to talk about on YouTube. And then what are you going to do? You're going to have to either dispute that or go, well, technically. And after that Time magazine article, Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin of the Lotus Eaters, suggested that Trump just get up there and read the entire article. And it would be pretty funny if he did, because the article is pretty insane. Some people think that Trump is just going to lose the impeachment trial. I think at that point, the Democrats will have completely disconnected from the Constitution if that happens. I don't think anybody thinks that's going to happen, though. There's no way they can convict him. The only question is how the Democrats are going to spin that L. I assume they will say, well, it was these darn Republicans who wouldn't convict. But maybe the plan is to put so much pressure on Republicans that they hope that enough of them crack that they actually convict Trump. That would be a fatal mistake for the GOP. As it stands now, the GOP might as well pack it in. Half its members are in big trouble anyway for not supporting Trump during what happened on January the 6th, which contributed a lot to the riot, when you think about it. If the GOP had been solidly united under Trump, hey, we're not going to let this happen. We are going to contest this thing. I doubt you would have had any riot. I doubt you would have had any event. I think Trump would have been there, and they would have been more caught up in what they were going to do at the not the trial, but the hearing during the electoral count than anything else. But Pence, he thinks he can run for president. I guess maybe if it's another one of the most secure elections ever, maybe Pence will win in a landslide. Maybe instead of 80 million votes like Biden got, maybe mysteriously Pence will get 90 million votes and he'll be the most popular president ever. But I kind of doubt it. Mike. I think you ought to just pack it in and do your radio show or whatever you do. So this is typical media stuff. It's all one way. Everybody attacks the right. No one attacks the left. The left act horrible for months and months and months. Someone on the right makes a mistake or maybe does something wrong. boom, it's like the end of days. And this, again, is all outlined in that essay, and I'll definitely put the link in the description for new discourses. Listen to those podcasts. It's a long podcast, but I think Lindsay really breaks it down well, mostly in layman's terms. And you may find some of it boring, but it really gives you insight to why everything is so lopsided, why these people think that way. And once you understand how they think, then you might be able to understand how to counter them.